Rifters, we are live here on the Go Network. That's right. It's not gag, it's go. That kind of sounds dirty. Don't gag, but go.
That's a dirty tagline.
Is that why you changed the name, Dimitri, in all reality? You've been very coy about this. Well, we'll get back to that in a second, but this is episode, I was going to say, I don't know what I was going to say. I was going to say something dirty, probably. This is
Most likely, yeah.
This is episode 153 of Static Riff Radio here on the Go Network. It is Go. It's no longer gag. They don't want you gagging. They just want you going. So we're here on the network. We're going to have kind of a solemn show, I'd say. We're going to open up with what we consume like we always do, but most of the rest of the show is going to be dedicated to the life and career of Stan Lee. As you guys know, if you listen to any of the 152 other episodes, well, technically you can only listen to 147 episodes. I know, I suck. We'll talk about it. Then you know that I love Stan Lee. I really, really love Stan Lee. I love all of his characters. I love all of his work. I even love the man's voice. And for a long time, I really wanted to interview Stan Lee, but not getting too into it now because we're going to do all Stan Lee stuff during the second segment because we're going to have the king of the nerds, the conjurer of cons, Mitch Hallock, on the show, and he's going to talk Stan with us. So we're definitely going to get all Stan Lee with you, and we're going to talk about his career, his life, just everything about him, about how he touched all of us, how, we first kind of got into comics or how we first got into Stan Lee and, what he means to us. So between Mitch, me, and Jason, I'm sure we'll have all different sides of the spectrum. So I just figured it'd be really nice to honor him. He's someone that I always wanted to interview, and I didn't get a chance to. But, like I said, I'll get into that once we get into the segment. Dimitri, we sound really crisp. Is this because it's the Go Network now? Because now it's going, it just sounds better?
Yeah, because we're all going now.
Yeah.
Nobody's
gagging anymore, so of course we sound better.
That's it?
Yeah.
That's it.
It's just clearer voices.
Wow,
all around.
Dimitri's laughing too. Dimitri's even happier. Look at this. He's got a smile on. Dimitri, you're supposed to be an android from the future or a cyborg from the future. What is it?
I'm allowed to laugh.
Has it changed?
My programming updated when we switched names.
That's it, yeah. You got that new chip installed, It's
The going chip.
Yeah, the Go chip, right.
So, like I said, this is episode 153 here on the Go Network. I so badly want to say Gag Order Network, but I think Go sounds so much better. If you don't know how to spell it, it's G-E-A-U-X. That's the French way of spelling it, correct, Dimitri?
Yep, just because the other one was taken.
Oh.
And this one just sounds fancier.
Yeah. It's classy.
On Twitter, we are Static Riff Radio because some guy in France or the Netherlands has Static Rift, and we tried to convince him to give it to us just so we could just be Static Rift.
Yeah,
and he was like, "No, I really like the name." And we're like,
maybe you should maybe you should convince him to listen to the show.
Yeah,
we tried. I don't know if he did. He likes comics. I think his profile picture was like Deadpool or something. And we're like, we like comics too. We've had the artist of Deadpool on. He's like, oh, that's really cool. Maybe I'll check it out, but I probably won't. And we were like, burn.
Yeah, damn.
Yeah, wow, hurts.
Yeah. Up yours, too.
Yeah, so that's why on Twitter, that's why we're Static Riff Radio everywhere, but I think we should just be Static Rift, but we're not. Well, we are, but we're not. On Twitter, at least.
Yeah, that's all right.
So, like I said, this is episode 153. So, on a side note, before we jump into what we consumed, I feel like I always go on a side note tangent lately. I've been in a rut. Can you go, when's a midlife crisis happen?
Not at your age, but...
Nope.
around.
But, I mean, you can have one anytime you want.
Maybe I'm having a midlife crisis?
You're having a quarter life crisis.
Yeah, quarter life. There you go.
Is that what it is? So what's a midlife, 50?
Yeah.
40?
Yeah, late 40s, early 50s.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
That's when you buy the red sports car and date a 20-year-old.
Quarter life is more you just have meltdowns and you drink a lot.
That's how everybody is, though.
If I can have a red sports car and date a younger woman, I don't think I'd be in a crisis.
You should just accelerate the process and go to your midlife crisis now.
I feel like I'm having it.
Yeah.
Because at this point, Pokemon Go's not even making me happy. I'm even questioning if I want to play it anymore. I'm like, do I even want to do this? So I don't know. I'm just
that is surprising. From you. That's wow.
I haven't like caught like a good IV Pokemon in a while. I'm just like, is it even worth it anymore? So I don't know. Yeah, I'm just. I got like it all started with a really. I guess I'll go first with what I consumed.
I think you already have.
Yeah,
so
you've already started. So yeah, just keep going.
It started with a really bad haircut. As you see, I decided not to wear the hat because I wanted to wear a Marvel shirt, and the only Marvel shirt I have clean is this Daredevil shirt. So I really wanted to, wear a Marvel shirt today, a character that Stan created, and this is the only one I had. So I'm like, I can't wear my Instinct hat, and my Red Sox hat recently broke. So I'm like, all right, because the little like thing on top, that little whatever you call that thing.
Yeah.
And you can't wear a hat without the little ball thingy on the top. It looks weird.
You can.
It looks bad.
The headphones covered anyway for the most part.
Yeah, but the public before coming in for the headphones would see
yes,
the
plebeians in the streets.
Yeah, and they'd be like, you cheap
degenerate.
Yeah, or you degenerate, you cheap bastard, or something.
Yeah.
So I got this haircut, and generally I go to the same barber, and I went to the same barber shop, but he was booked. So I was like, all right, I need to get this haircut, because at this point I was supposed to like meet with my job to talk with them about situations, because unfortunately I lost my job too. Well, my job was given to somebody else.
Yeah, corporate snake crap.
Yeah. They did me like super dirty, like down and dirty. So I'm like, all right, I need a haircut. I kind of want to get a haircut anyways. It's been a while since I've gotten a haircut. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to get a haircut. It's going to be good. I'm going to look great. I'm going to feel better, because I was already starting to feel like kind of crappy at that point. So I go, and as you see, it's not a good haircut. He went like super short. I usually kind of go longer on the top and a lot shorter on the sides. So he didn't go short on the sides, as you see. Well, he did, but not as short as I like. And the top super short. He went so short in the middle that either I'm balding, or he went too short that it's kind of like, I don't know, shorter in the middle, so it looks like I'm balding. So I can't tell if I'm balding or it's too short. I don't know.
Well, if you're balding, that would play to your midlife crisis. So,
I mean, that's right. So then like I hate looking at my hair, so that makes it even worse. So I'm just like, am I balding? Is it just a really bad haircut? Is it a really bad haircut and I'm balding on top of it? So I'm kind of just like, this stinks. My job stinks. Well, the lack thereof, that they're like, well, we can give you this like flex position. So basically, you just fill in when we need you to. So if somebody calls out, we'll have you come in. But you don't. We can't give you like a set schedule. So whenever we need you, we'll just call you, or we'll like let you know maybe in like a little ahead of time. We'll try to give you like a week advance. But for the most part, we'll give you like a day advance. And I'm like, oh, that's fantastic. That's like really good. So I might not even know like when I'm working. I might only work 1 day a week. I might work the whole week. I don't know. I might work, who knows? And then I'm like, okay, well, I at least have like a set kind of like day schedule. Like, will it be these days? And they're like, well, it could be either Sunday through Thursday. It could be Monday through Friday, or it could be Wednesday through Saturday or Wednesday through Sunday or something. And I'm just like, that's really helpful. Like,
yeah.
And they're like, well, we'll figure it out as you go. Cause they're like making me come in to like retrain. And I'm like, why are you retraining me? It's not like I'm a new person. Like I know how to do stuff. Like I'd probably just need like a quick refresher, like some of like the computer stuff or whatever. And they're like, well, it's corporate policy to retrain you since you were out for, 3 months. And I'm like, okay, I guess. So it's like one, they'll have me train for like a whole shift or like a half a shift or something. So like 10 or 15 minutes into it, I'm like, all right, I'm good. Like I don't need this position anymore. Like, all right, I'm all set with this training. Like I don't need it anymore. And they're like, you got to stay there the whole shift. I'm just like, this is
like, well, F that.
Yeah. And then it's like, well, I can't, not have a job, and I need health insurance now because I'm on blood thinners because of the because of the heart surgery. So I'm kind of like, everyone's like, geez, why did I even turn into Static Riff right now? It's just John bitching. So kind of, I don't know. I'm just in like this really ruddy rut of a quarter life crisis, we'll call it. So the only editing I've been doing is helping Dimitri out, because Dimitri's a nice guy and he deserves to get some help, I guess. And I've been slacking on. I mean, I edited some Static Riff stuff, but it's stuff that I can't put up yet because I didn't edit the episode before. And I don't know why I don't like 148. I'm just like, I don't want to do it. It's just every time I start editing it, something pulls me away and I don't do it anymore. So I'm like a quarter or halfway through it. And I'm just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So beside, I guess, not loving life, I watched some anime. Like, I don't read any comics. I'm always like, I got like stacks of comics. And I finally took them out of like my moving box because I had to move too recently. So finally I have them like in front of my TV. So I'm like, they're right in front of me. So now I can, just grab them and start reading them if I need to. I don't. And then I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to watch wrestling. I'm not even watching wrestling at this point. I'm just like, I don't want to. It's going to suck. It's going to let me down. Yeah. So I don't really watch. I watched Raw last night. Well, kind of watched it. I fast forward through most of it.
Watched it, yeah.
And so wrestling I haven't been watching. I haven't started Daredevil yet. I haven't watched any Netflix shows. I haven't really done anything except half-heartedly play Pokemon Go and like kind of be like, am I wasting my time doing this? Go to work, once a couple times to train positions that I'm already set within like 10, 20 minutes of being at the position. And then watching anime. So that's like the only enjoyment I've had like the last week or two is watching anime. So I watch all the stuff on Toonami mostly. My Hero Academia is probably up there. It's getting up there to being maybe one of the best animes of all time, I think. So I started watching Mob Psycho 100. So what's cool about this, Dimitri, you might like this. The guy who created the manga is the guy who created One Punch Man.
Oh, okay, cool. I like One Punch Man.
Yeah. So the artist or writer, I think he does both, or he used to do both, but now he has somebody drawing for him. His name is just One. It's just One. That's his name.
Probably a moniker.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, but that's like his writing name. I don't know if you can find his real name. I tried, and it's just One.
That's kind of cool, though.
I don't know his real name.
Can I be known as Two?
Yeah, right? That's pretty cool.
He's just One. And One Punch Man was the first manga he ever did, and that's what, so that's what got him like elevated to. And Mob Psycho 100 is his like next notable one. So they just started airing it on Toonami, and I was like, this looks interesting because the main character looks like Saitama, but with Mo from the Three Stooges haircut.
Oh, with the bowl cut?
Yeah, he has like the same face, but he has.
So instead of him being bald, he's just a bowl cut.
He's got a bowl cut, but he's a kid too, and he's not jacked.
Well, I mean, he's not. One Punch Man isn't really that jacked. That's the point.
I mean, he is when he takes off his shirt. He's kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's kind of. I don't know.
He's not like muscular. He's toned.
Yeah. So I was like, all right, I'll check this out. So then I started looking into it because the first episode was really good. And then I was like, all right, why does this seem like something like deja vu-y? Like, I feel like I've seen this before, I guess. And then I looked into it, and I found out that the One Punch Man guy makes it. But the studio that makes it is Bones. And they're the studio that made, like, My Hero Academia, Full Metal Alchemist, and Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. They made Wolf's Rain, which... not a fan. If you're a fan of Wolf's Rain, I don't know what to tell you. They made both Eureka 7s. They made Soul Eater, its spin-off. So they made a ton of like really Space Dandy, a ton of really, really good shows. And I'm like, all right. So the studio's really good. The guy that creates it's really good. I'm like, this show has to be really good. And it is. It's really good. 3 episodes in, I'm like, this show is really good. I mean, it's not My Hero Academia good, but not many shows are.
Is it really good, John? Is it really
it's
good?
really good.
Is it? Yeah, it's good.
It's,
yeah, you like it?
Is it just good, or is it really good?
It's really good, but really good with a capital R.
Oh, wow.
So it might be like really good. Yeah, I think so.
So some extra emphasis on the really.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the premise of the show is this 8th grade kid. He's a psychic or an esper, and he exercises like spirits. And he works for like this sleazy dude who he thinks is like a master exorcist. but he's really just a sleazy dude that just wants to make money off this kid because he knows that he's a powerful psychic. So this kid has like no emotions, kind of, because if he lets his emotions out, his psychic powers kind of go like crazy, and he looks like a Super Saiyan almost.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, his hair just like shoots out, and yeah he just gets really intense. So he kind of just holds all his emotions in. So he's kind of like a really weird kid, because you know, if you don't laugh or you don't smile or you don't do anything, no one wants to be around you. So the first 3 episodes were kind of like showing you what it's going to happen when he gets to this 100 threshold, and that's basically like when he can't hold it in anymore. And then he finally has like a personality, and he kind of reminds me of Saitama too, like with the personality where they're kind of just like super laid back.
Oh, goofy almost.
And yeah, and they almost don't have a personality. And the only bit of personality that this kid has is he really likes this girl, but she thinks he sucks. So like he can't do anything, and he doesn't realize that he even likes her until the end of the 2nd episode, and he's just like, I need to be popular. But he's like the lamest kid.
Yeah.
And it's just really cool. And yeah, I totally think you guys should check it out. Yeah. Anybody who's into Bone Studio stuff, I think you really like it. If you like One Punch Man, it has that funniness of One Punch Man. You can definitely tell the same guy created it.
I like that like humor. That just like
yeah.
Goofy
that kind
of
like goofy, dry humor where you're kind of like, and it takes you a second, but then you start laughing. I think, yeah, that's what it's like, and it's really good. And the voice acting is similar voice actors you've heard from other, English dubbed anime. I think it's really good. I really like it. I keep saying really good. I don't know why.
What about very good?
Yeah.
I don't know. Really,
would you go as far as extremely good?
Exceptionally?
I think I need to give it a little bit more. I just watched 3 episodes. The first season only has 12 episodes.
That's why I like anime, because the seasons are quick, they're easy, 20 minutes each, 13 episodes to a season. You have a few seasons, and they get the story out, while like American shows run for God knows how long. There's
ages.
There's like 20 or 24 episodes per season with like 5 or 6 seasons.
You could have an anime like One Piece that has like 800 episodes.
Oh, and it's still going. It's been going on for like 20 years
And
now.
he said he has another 10 years of stuff.
Oh, geez.
I'm like, you sadist. Like,
yeah, right. What is wrong with you?
The show's good, but it's not that good.
But there's so much filler, I heard, that doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, that's one of the things, too, about anime which I like now what they're starting to do with the whole season thing. Before it would just keep going, and then when they couldn't adapt like the manga stuff, or if the manga was still being written, they'd have to kind of put in that filler stuff to catch up.
Kind of like what Game of Thrones did, where they're waiting for the new book to be written.
Right, or they just go their own way and create their own thing, like what the first season of Full Metal Alchemist did, which made it suck towards the end because they completely went away from source material, and it was just awful. Well, it wasn't awful. I shouldn't say that. Full Metal Alchemist.
It was really awful.
Yeah, it was. No, it was good. It was good, but Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood was just leaps and bounds better once you realize that it followed the material, and that's how it was supposed to be. But I really like that now they're starting to do seasons, but it like kind of sucks that you have to wait, to see these shows. So it's like I'm kind of happy that I'm watching it on Toonami because it's like a weekly thing for me. So most people are like, oh, I just finished the 3rd season of My Hero Academia and it's so amazing. And I'm just like, oh, I want to watch it so bad. But then I'm like, do I want to really just catch up and watch it all and then be like, now I don't have it. Now I have to wait until the 4th season comes out. So
just be left there sitting and waiting.
Yeah, and then I feel like I've talked about this before. When I binge watch something, which I would totally do if I watched I'd just watch all of it. I'd just watch all of My Hero Academia, and then it would just feel like a whole blob. It would just meld together to me, and then I'd have to like start an episode and be like, oh, I remember this, and I don't want to do that because it's just too good.
Yeah.
Too good. So what did you guys do?
Jason, why don't you go?
Sure.
Ooh, Dimitri's like I feel Dimitri doesn't. Dimitri, don't stiff me again.
I did nothing but play a lot of Red Dead Redemption 2. And that game is really good.
Did you kill some KKK members?
No. Well, actually,
are you choosing not to? Are you like joining the KKK?
No, please, no, actually, there was a funny. This is not a spoiler. Funny little how Red Dead has that thing where you're just running around and some random NPC pops up.
Sure.
With like it's like a 5-minute side quest. So one of those popped up, and it was like a KKK rally, and they were initiating a new member, and to initiate, he has to go up to the cross and set it on fire, and he ends up setting himself on fire, and you have the choice to like help put him out, and I didn't. I just kind of let them all.
Now, could you pee to put him out, like piss on him?
No. I looked. The options were put him out or like intervene, or you could just stand there and watch. So I just kind of stood there and watched. So
You couldn't. I would. I want to kill them all or something.
well, they did. They all burned. I mean,
but I'd rather like shoot them. I guess
Okay,
burning
okay.
sucks.
But no. The thing I actually like about this compared to the first game, it's actually very hard to be a criminal, because if you go around robbing people and doing all that stuff, there's going to be bounties on you, and basically it's going to be hard to move around the map with any freedom.
So here's what I have to ask you, because I've been waiting to ask somebody that actually has played the game.
Yeah.
Playing the little bit of the first game that I did play. I didn't play a lot of it. I played it at like a friend's house for a little bit, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to get it. I never got it.
Yeah.
The first game, what it's the FBI or whatever, whoever the company is, the government at the time,
Sure. Yeah.
they pull the main character, like they're like, oh, we'll give you back your family if you help us
but
out.
You've got to help us out. Yeah.
So you're going against your former gang.
Mm-hmm.
Now in this game, it's a prequel.
Yes.
So this is the former gang, like the stuff that happened.
Mm-hmm.
So weren't they bad guys anyways?
Oh yeah, you're
So
all outlaws. Yeah.
Why wouldn't you be able to do bad things?
Well, you can. I mean, you absolutely can, but it's just what I mean is like as the player, it's hard because it's much more strict this time around.
But the missions aren't having you do bad things?
No, they are. They are. But the mission, like I mean, like when you're just running around roaming.
I see.
Yeah. Like if you go up to an NPC and you decide to rob them, that's fine, but you better make sure that A, you cover your face with a bandana, and then even if you do that, they'll still, like, if you let them go, they'll still report the crime, and there'll still be a bounty on you. If you kill them, there's probably going to be a witness, and they'll report the crime.
Can you just murder everybody?
Yeah, you can kill the witness if you want. I've done that.
I would just murder them all.
If you're, like, in a desolate kind of place, that works, but it's still kind of hard. Yeah, it's much more... I hesitate to use the word realistic when it comes to any video game, but this feels a lot more realistic.
Sure. Now, it's also much more immersed, and you can kind of go anywhere you want,
Yeah.
basically, where the first one was kind of more...
First one was much more, like,
linear,
narrow.
yeah.
Yeah, much more linear. This is, like, you can... You have the whole map to yourself, and there's little things you have to do, like, you have to make sure you bathe regularly, because if you don't, your character's going to look disgusting, and eventually there'll be flies all around you. And NPCs will actually like comment on it and be like, "Dude, you reek! Get away from me!"
Is it like a mini game where you're just like cleaning yourself?
It's legit. It's a mini game where you go to a hotel, you order a bath for 50 cents, and you have to scrub all the areas. You can order a deluxe bath where a woman comes in and bathes you for you.
Oh, fantastic! Is
Yeah,
that like
pretty cool.
$1?
It's like 50 cents more. Yeah, so
Oh.
it's not that bad.
All right.
But you have to make sure you eat. If you don't eat, then your health drains faster. And your character is weaker.
So it's like that hardcore mode in like Fallout New Vegas, where you have to like do all that stuff.
Yeah,
which is like too hardcore for me.
You have to make sure you feed your horse, or your horse will
That's
crap out on
that
you.
is very realistic, though.
Yeah, it's like, and that's why I like it. It's like this is the way it should be. Like in the first game, all of that was just either ignored or it was done for you.
Sure, yeah.
This is all stuff that you have to pay attention to, or
Now,
else it's going to affect you.
What if you choose to be like super good?
I mean, you can do that.
I think it's
like-
called Jesus mode.
No,
Yeah.
right, but I mean, like, wouldn't that affect the future of the game because you were a piece of crap? But
I'm
now
not-
you're super good.
See, I'm not sure. So I'm only 20% through.
Okay.
So, like, I've done a lot of the main missions, but for now, I'm just kind of doing a lot of side stuff. I tend to do, like, chaotic neutral. So I'm not, like, all the way good, whatever. But, like, I'm not going around robbing people either because it's just too hard. Like, I had a $300 bounty on me, like, a couple of days ago. And I just had to bite the bullet and pay it because I couldn't move in the open map without either bounty hunters or lawmen, like, chasing me down.
Can't you just murder them? Take them
but
all
then,
out?
but then the bounty goes up, and the higher the bounty goes, the more people come after you. and like you won't be able to breathe.
That
without
kind of
someone
sounds
hunting
cool
you
though.
down.
Just everyone coming and you just like keep murdering everybody.
Yeah, if you're good enough to do that, sure, but eventually they're gonna get you.
It's like Grand Theft Auto when the cops are coming after you,
Yeah.
or like Need for Speed when the cops are coming after you, depending on your level of like wanted.
Right. So the difference between this and Grand Theft Auto is like Grand Theft Auto, you can like go on a spree in the middle of a city, right? And then just drive away for a couple of minutes and the stars in the upper right
Sure,
corner
start
go
to go
away.
down.
And then you can just go right back and you're fine. Red Dead, you can't do that. You can run away and they'll stop chasing you, but then you're wanted. And there's a bounty on you. If you go back to that town, they're going to either try to arrest you or they'll try to kill you if you do something really heinous. So that's why I like it. It's a little more, like I said, I hate to use the word realistic, but it does feel that way. It's a little more hardcore.
So the words today are really good and realistic.
Realistic, yeah.
Yeah.
Is
it
more
really
realistic
good?
than most video games anyway?
Yes, yeah. More for a video game, it's very realistic.
So you don't find playing the last game, well, the first game, to playing this game, you don't feel that it's been kind of given away. You already know what's going to happen, basically.
No, because I think it's still interesting to see how it's going to happen. Because like right now, in the beginning of the game, like I'm set up at a camp with, John Marston's there, just hanging out. Bill Williamson is like in a tent right next to him. They're just hanging out. Like you kind of see, and like, do you remember Dutch from the first game?
No.
How you run into Dutch and like he's lost his mind. He's a lunatic, and he's one of the guys who runs in your gang. And in Red Dead 2, he's like the leader of the gang. He's the guy who's like in charge of everything.
So he's not the character you are.
Right. Yeah, he's just the leader, and he's the guy kind of dishing out the orders. You're
So
just one of the
who is the
dudes.
character that you are?
Arthur.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like-
And
Arthur? No.
no.
I was doing the meme.
Oh, not that Arthur. No. Arthur Morgan. But yeah, so
is
like
he in the first game?
you know what? I don't remember. He probably was, but I don't remember him from the first game.
So he probably dies at the end of this game.
Probably, yeah.
That's like their job, to kill the character.
But like Dutch was a lunatic in Red Dead 1, and in this game already you can start to see like even though he's in charge and he's of sane mind and everything, there's moments where you can see like, oh, that's why he unraveled, and that's why he became like
So they'll probably show you why he loses his mind or
you're
something.
gonna see him break down, and yeah, so I think it's interesting for that reason, just to see how it sets up everything. So highly recommend. If you haven't bought it yet, go do it. It's so much fun.
I haven't wanted to play a video game in a long time, like a console game. Like I
Yeah.
really want to play Pokemon on the Switch, but I haven't gotten a Switch. I probably won't get a Switch anytime soon.
3 more days. I'm so excited.
I know.
Oh wow, I forgot that it was so soon.
I
Yeah.
probably won't get one anytime soon.
Maybe
so.
that's why the trailer for Detective Pikachu dropped.
Ooh.
Oh yeah.
We'll have
That's
to talk. We'll have to talk about that maybe towards the end of the show or something.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was really cool, but I
Yeah.
want to get to break. Well, Dimitri, did you do anything?
Started watching Daredevil again. I didn't finish it. Caught up on some shows that I haven't seen in a while, and a lot of the shows are coming back. So that's what I've been watching those ones.
I feel like that's your go-to thing is just watching TV.
That's what I do. I work and watch TV.
Hey, it's not a bad way to go.
Am I turning to you, Dimitri?
Do you work?
That, like lately, I've been going to the job and just.
So, I mean, all I do
training.
all day mostly is send out emails, edit audio, and just watch shows. So
Yeah.
Oh, I'm becoming Dimitri. That's not good.
oh, wow, thanks.
Well, I don't know. Are
Well,
you
at least-
are you content, Dimitri, with
Yeah.
life?
Are you having a quarter life crisis like John is?
No,
Yeah. Okay. So there
I
you
think
go.
he's just playing it off.
yeah.
I mean, no, of course
No.
not.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Yeah. Not at all.
I mean, I don't send out emails really.
And I don't play Pokemon Go, so maybe.
There you go.
You should. Maybe you shouldn't. I don't know.
Like 2 weeks ago, you were trying to convince me to play.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
Trying to
I just
recruit the world.
I just don't know if it's worth it anymore. Maybe it's because of Stan. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Oh wow, he's got you in a funk, huh?
Yeah.
Maybe. Well, I don't know. Well, we'll go to break.
Yeah.
We'll get Mitch on the phone. We'll start talking about Stan. I'm sure that will warm the cockles of my heart. And, yeah. So stay tuned. We're going to talk about Stan Lee. We're going to talk about his characters. We're going to talk about his career. We're going to talk about why I believe Stan Lee is the greatest person in all of literature. So.
What about Shakespeare?
Oh. Oh. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
I almost dropped one. Yeah. Fudge Shakespeare. Okay. So stay tuned. We'll be back in a jiff, and it's going to be really good. The king of the nerds, the conjurer of cons, Mitch Hallock. It's been a hell of a long time, Mitch. I'm glad to have you back on the show. How you doing?
I'm doing very good, sir, and I'm glad to be back. Can't wait to talk to you.
So, unfortunately, we've had a horrible thing happen. We lost the greatest, in my opinion, the greatest storyteller of our generation, our lifetime. I don't think there's anybody, I said right before we went to break, is better of a storyteller than Stan Lee. I think he's the best storyteller in all of literature. Forget Shakespeare, forget J.K. Rowling, forget Disney, forget all those people, forget anything that's ever been done. I think Stan's the greatest of all time. I think his characters stand the test of time. I think they probably made more money than any other characters.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
I mean, you might be close with Superman and DC, but I don't even dare.
I don't think it matters.
No, they said today that if you add up all the Marvel movies, all of them, whether it's Disney or Fox or Sony and all that, it's something like $23 billion. And since Stan is in most of them with a cameo, he would be the most successful actor of all time with that type of box office.
Yeah.
So there you go.
And it just stinks. I guess I knew he was old. I knew he was kind of like slowing down. He was already cutting down cons. He was cutting down coming on the East Coast. He was just going to do West Coast stuff. So I kind of felt like, he was always going to be around. I never thought we'd lose Stan. And then, you hear it happened, and I'm just like, oh. So what?
Yeah, but you got to look at 95 years. I mean, that's a hell of a long run. And he had, like you said, he created the American mythology like no one else ever had. And his personal life, he was married for almost 70 years, which is insane. And his wife just passed away last year. And honestly, old school Italians like myself, and I think you would agree, we just know that once the wife or the husband dies in a long marriage, that usually the other one goes not soon after that,
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened here. She died last year, and then he just...
Yep. Not even, but you're like, because you could tell when you're together that long, it's almost like it's just part of your daily routine. And when there's that void, the body just doesn't get used to it. And he started getting very sick in the last year. He had pneumonia, he had a lung infection. There was a lot going on with a lot of the handlers around him. People were trying to take money from him and take advantage of him. So it wasn't the most fun time in Stan's life the last year. So,
yeah, which stinks because anybody you ask, he's the nicest guy around. I don't think I've ever heard anybody say anything bad about him.
I think he was so nice. A lot of people just take advantage of that niceness,
Yeah, definitely. But like I said, he created the best characters around. Everyone always says I'm a Marvel fanboy. I guess I am.
Yep. It's hard not to be.
Yeah,
yeah, really. I don't think that's a bad thing. It's how could you not be?
No. Because and I was on the radio today, and they were asking me why were Marvel guys so much better than all the other heroes. I said because Marvel superheroes are human. And DC and all those, well, except for Batman maybe, the rest of them are all like gods. They're like something you can't imagine. Superman's perfect.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman's perfect. Aquaman, he's under the water, but he's perfect. Everybody's perfect. But you go to Marvel, no one's perfect over there. Nobody. Everyone's got problems. And I think that's what we all identify with. And that was the genius of Stan Lee. No one ever thought of taking childish cartoon fantasy characters and actually applying adult themes to them. And that was the magic of it. And that's why they've been so popular for 60 years or 50 years, whenever Marvel really started,
And I think you truly see that with a character like Spider-Man. I think he's the everyday kind of man. You see that he goes to school, he has bills to pay, he's got to take care of his aunt. You know, he has women trouble. He has friend trouble. You know, he's a
Yeah.
normal dude that has power and he wants to do good things with it, which you don't really see that in DC. I guess you could say, you know, Batman, but he's a rich guy. So, I mean,
He's
he's
loaded. Yeah.
yeah, would a rich guy really want to do those good things? I don't know.
No. It's like, oh, yeah, I'm kind of bored, so maybe I'll just fight crime. Whatever.
So,
yeah, that's well, like I said, of all the DC heroes, Batman's probably the closest to a Marvel
right.
of a Marvel hero, you know,
Yeah.
because he's got that baggage.
Yeah, he has that kind of, he lost his family when he was young, and he kind of has like real motivation to want to be a hero, where Superman's kind of just, I'm super strong, so let me be a hero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Well, and you got to admit, I don't know about you, but I think I learned most of my values and my morality and my life lessons from Marvel comic books rather than church.
Yeah.
You know, 'cause
That-
church, I went to Catholic school my whole life, you know, grammar school, high school, all that, nuns and priests. And it was so strict and so rigid and like, this is good and this is bad and don't question it. There's no gray area. And that's the way it is. And then when you go read a Marvel comic book, you read Spider-Man or, Johnny, the Ghost Rider, anybody, Black Panther, they've got all these problems and they're trying to do good and they're trying to honor their family and they're trying to help their fellow man and their community. And it's just so vast and big. It's more, how was it? It was more relatable in a paper 4-color comic book than it was going to church, you know what I mean? I could identify better with Peter Parker than I ever could with any of the saints or Jesus, you know?
I think that's why Stan's so important to me, is growing up, you know, I loved Marvel. My dad got me into it, but I think I learned more from Stan's characters than I did from my own dad, because my mom and my dad divorced when I was really young. I didn't get to see him that often. So, you know, I would read all these books and I would watch these cartoons, and they kind of gave me the morals that I have today. Like, you know, when you're a young kid, you're like, oh, I want to drink, you know, like I want to chug down beers and stuff. And then you see Tony Stark and like Demon in a Ball, and you're like, do I really want to drink? Like, Tony probably shouldn't. I don't want to be that guy. Or you'll see like Spider-Man right away with Uncle Ben. You're just like, oh, I never want to be like that. Like, that's awful. No. You know, you learn, you know, I definitely learned majority of my morals from Stan Lee's characters. So that's one of the main reasons I think he's so important to me. I think I'm glad.
Yeah,
that,
I mean,
you know,
and the term social justice warriors thrown around nowadays all over the internet and all that nonsense, and people get all up in arms about it. But you know what? Stan Lee was fighting for social justice back in the 60s before it was very fashionable, and he didn't make a big stink about it. And look at me. He did it quietly, you know, with characters like the hate monger, and you just said, oh my God, that's look at this villainous jerk out there who hates people because of their race or their religion and all that. And, you know, he was telling people about all the things in the world, the prejudiceness, the intolerance and all that stuff. He was showing you, but he was doing it so subtly in a comic book of all things that he was teaching you there are bad people out there, and this is wrong, and this is why you should defend other people and stand up for the little guy. He didn't have to go tweet anything. He didn't have to go all the things that people go on about today, Stan Lee did it quietly. You know what I mean? He just did it real quietly, soft-spoken, and he entertained you while he taught you a lesson.
Yes.
That's a trick. That's a trick no one can pull off. Now it's so heavy-handed, and it's either right or wrong and all PC. Not back when Stan was doing it.
Yeah.
It's subtle.
And if you didn't agree with him, he didn't, you know, get really mad.
He didn't hit you over the head and say, well, then you're a jerk. Get out of here, you know?
So on a side note, on the hate monger, he was from Nazi Germany, but he looked like a KKK member. Kind of. Do you think that's what Stan kind of based him on, was the KKK? Just with the purple robe?
Yeah. Look at the time that was written in the 60s. I mean, as bad as things are now, they were a lot worse 50 years ago. A lot worse. I mean, we have the internet and all the things now, you know more, but there was stuff going on horrendous violence towards people that was just kept under the rug that you just didn't talk about. So yeah, that was definitely his poke at it in trying to show people the harm that hate groups could do to people out there and try to stop it.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I never kind of put two and two together until recently. Actually, I'm like, he's kind of a KKK member, but German.
Yeah,
he's like the best of like the worst of both worlds.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Yeah.
So,
I mean, and you look at this. Here we are in the middle of the 60s. We just had an election last week. Back then, folks were just trying to get civil rights and just have the opportunity to vote and be treated equally. And what does he do? He makes a character called the Black Panther, who's a king of the most technologically advanced countries in the world, on the whole planet. Wakanda, And you just go, oh my, look, Stan's not thinking about today. He's thinking about the future where none of this matters anymore.
Yeah.
The characters are, look at the heights. This guy's the king of the most advanced civilization on the planet. And meanwhile, down the street, we're having people not being able to go to the same schools as the white kids and can't vote. And it's mind-boggling how far and futuristic his ideas were, And this is in the middle of the 60s, all straight-laced and buttoned up.
Yeah.
He didn't care.
So you're making me think of Stan in different ways, which, I mean, I guess I thought about him before, but I'm thinking about him more now. He's definitely maybe the best entertainer of all time. And after that statement you just made now, he might be the best, like, imaginer of all time. His imagination was second to none.
It's through the roof. Yeah.
You think of imagination, you think of Disney and his Imagineers and stuff. But I think Stan kind of had a better imagination, especially
Stan as a creator. I mean, there's almost no one that can stand next to him. I mean, he as a creator, he was in a league all of his own, and I don't think anyone's ever going to come close.
Now, the guy was writing a comic a day almost. You know what I mean? A complete new book, like 20-something pages, almost every other day, and totally different from the other one. You look at all the different characters; they're all unique in their own way.
Now,
one's a millionaire playboy, one's a poor kid, a teenager, one's a scientist with an anger problem, one's a World War II hero. I mean, think of all the diverse characters going on. None of them are repeating the same stories. They're all unique individuals.
That's true.
That's a hell of a lot of plates to spin,
That is definitely true.
One's a Norse god.
Yeah.
Who ever thought of that? Nobody ever thought of, let's make this Norse god guy come walk around on the earth for a while. Let's make a guy in a surfboard. Talk about how alien the earth looks to him.
So is he?
That's incredible.
Is he credited with creating Captain America?
No, that's Joe Simon and Jack Kirby, but he brought him back into the modern age. I mean, that was a character that was thrown into the garbage to be forgotten about after World War II in the 50s, and then he revived him.
So he kind of perfected him almost.
Yeah. He added that whole other element of the man at a time part to it. The warrior from World War II who was living in a world that he's trying to be peaceful when they got the Vietnam War going on. I mean, it's just, now we talk about it like it was just commonplace because we all know who Captain America is, but back then it was brand new,
Yeah, and honestly, if you ask probably people that grew up with Captain America, they'll think of him one way. They'll know both ways. They'll know he was a World War II fighter. They'll know, he's a man lost in time. But if you ask somebody nowadays, they might be like, oh, he's someone that's lost in time. He grew up then. He's, a man lost in time. And they won't even think of him being a World War II. Oh, yeah, he was in war, but you don't really think about it. So you kind of, he really perfected him to be the Captain America that we know today. Unless you're like a really big Captain America fan, you don't think about him punching Hitler, or you don't think about him.
No.
Yeah.
But that's all part of it, though.
Yeah. Oh, of course. That's a huge part of it. That's one of the building blocks of Captain America, one of the pillars of, what makes him who he is.
Yeah.
So something I wanted to ask you, because I'm sure you're obviously older than us. Is it true that Stan grew up, well, not grew up, but he got started drawing stuff for the military, and one of his ads was when guys would go overseas, they'd have sexual relations with women
Yeah.
and stuff, and he drew like an ad saying like, oh, don't get venereal disease or whatever.
Well, what it was is Stan enlisted in the service in 1944 after Jack Kirby and Joe Simon had gone off to the war. Stan was still working at Timely, which is eventually Marvel Comics.
Right.
And he's the one, actually, his first printed material in any comic book is in the second issue of Captain America. He wrote a 2-page short story. It didn't have any illustrations in it. And it was just 2 pages of text. And he was the first one to ever write that Captain America threw a shield and it ricocheted off something and hit somebody. So that was his idea, that the shield would be able to be bounced around. So Stan goes off to the war, and he gets a job. Basically, they called him a playwright. He worked in the PR department, and he worked alongside Dr. Seuss, Theodore Geisel.
Wow.
Before he was Dr. Seuss, and he worked with a couple other famous movie directors like Frank Capra and a bunch of stuff. But yeah, Stan's job was to make training films, and one of the things that he made a training film on in cartoons, like you mentioned, was VD. Don't get venereal disease. I mean, while you're overseas, protect yourself when we're all that, not just your gun, but everything. So yeah, he was making films for the guys going overseas so they didn't get into trouble, if you will, and get sick.
Wow.
So
yeah.
I always thought it was. I didn't believe it, but
no, that's true. That's absolutely
awesome.
true.
And he made
somebody had to do it,
Yeah, you're right. And he made little vignettes on how to clean your weapons and stuff like that. And I think that's really cool.
Yep. And then he came back and started working in comics in the 50s, and he was working for his cousin's husband, and that would be Martin Goodman. He's the one that owned Timely Comics. And then, as this legend goes, Stan was sick of it, was embarrassed to tell people he was writing funny books, and he was going to quit. And he told Joni, his wife, that he was done, and he was going to go look for another job. And she said, well, before you go, this is your swan song, why don't you just do it the way you want to do it? And the Justice League comic book had come out, and Martin Goodman, he saw DC doing the Justice League, and he said, Stan, why can't we do a book like that? Come up with some heroes. So Stan's like, okay, the guy wants me to come up with some heroes, and I want to get the hell out of this job. So let me write some story, and it's going to call The Fantastic Four. And it's got no costumes. It's just a bunch of, people that don't get along personally, but they all have to work together. So if you look at the first issue of the Fantastic Four, it's very different from what happens later. No one wears a costume. They basically hate each other.
Yeah.
And they just, they come together to fight the Mole Man, and it's kind of like a monster movie sci-fi story. And, no one had ever written a comic book like that. No one ever wrote a comic book where the main characters don't like each other, where Ben Grimm wants to beat the hell out of Reed Richards for what he did to him, turning him into a monster and how ugly he was and all that stuff. So that's what started it. And then it becomes Marvel Comics. Yeah.
And I know a lot of people can probably relate to that because not every family gets along. Everyone has that family member that they don't get along with and they fight with. It's just human nature. And I think that he, justified it perfectly. Like he depicted it so well that, not many people have been able to get it as closely as he has, I think.
No. Look at you and Dimitri. It's amazing you guys can still sit in the same room, but things have to happen to make the magic work,
We power through every week. We find a way.
I haven't left. So.
Absolutely.
So you said, as you said, he was really embarrassed, and I think one of my favorite quotes from him is, he says, I used to be embarrassed because I was just a comic book writer while other people were building bridges or going on to medical careers, and then I began to realize entertainment is one of the most important things in people's lives. Without it, they might go off the deep end. I feel that if you're able to entertain people, you're doing a good thing. And I think that's one of his, to me, it's one of his most iconic and important quotes because that's exactly it, Just entertaining people is everything, I think.
Yeah.
You know, it's so important.
Well, it stops people from going and shooting up places. You know,
Yeah.
if the world will just calm the hell down and just maybe sit back and read a comic book. Not that that's the cure for everything, but sometimes I look at the things that happen on the news every night. I go, what the hell is happening out there? Why is everyone so miserable? And you don't need to take antidepressants. Maybe sometimes you just need to sit down and read a good comic book
Just need Stan
and go
Lee in
to
your
another
life.
world and use your imagination and try to better yourself instead of just harmful and hurtful acts to other people.
Maybe that's what I need. I've been in a rut lately. Maybe I just need some Stan in my life. I need
you
to
go.
read
You
some-
need a good dose of Marvel magic medicine.
Yeah, I think so. I have a big stack of comics right on my bureau in front of my TV. I just haven't
Read
been
some
reading.
old comics. Forget that new stuff. Put that new stuff down. Go get some classics. Go get an omnibus. Read a, volume 2 or volume 1 of The Amazing Spider-Man cover to cover. That'll put a spring in your step.
I've read some of his Spider-Man, and I've read
Yeah.
some of his Fantastic Four, but that's really about it. I haven't really gotten into his Thor. I haven't really gotten into some of his other
Silver
works.
Surfer's a good one. I mean, it's only about 18 issues. It doesn't go long, but that's a good one. Silver Surfer. You get a
So,
bound copy of that.
what do you think is his best story? If you had to pick
Out of everything?
one out of everything Stan's done, if you had to pick one story, what would you say Stan's maybe to you?
I'd have to just say Amazing Fantasies 15, the origin of Spider-Man, because that one story has everything that you'll ever need in a Marvel comic. It's got the average Joe, being picked on, the nerd, who gets a magical gift, gets bitten by the spider, and gets the amazing powers, and then he gets greedy. He goes and uses it for TV and makes money. And then in his greed, he lets the burglar go by, and because he's too self-absorbed, he's too selfish. And then it takes away his uncle, so he learns a hard lesson. And then he goes and stops the bad guy. And then at the very end of the book, he learns that with great power comes great responsibility. In those 16 pages, Steve Ditko and Stan Lee tell you everything you ever need to know about a comic book, about an entertaining story about good and evil and growing up and doing the right thing in 16 lousy pages. It's crazy.
Wow, it really was only 16.
I know graphic novels. I know books that go on for 12 issues and stuff that can't have as much impact as those 16 little pages in Amazing Fantasies 15,
16
So that's my
pages. That's you don't even think about nowadays comic books are so much. Yeah, wow. He did all that in 16 pages.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, he
That's-
did, and it just, and then, we can go on and on. I mean, it's all so imaginative. The Thing versus the Hulk, Galactus, this alien being coming from another galaxy or something, coming to eat the Earth. And he has this herald that he sends out there to find these planets who has a change of heart, and then fights his overlord master and saves the Earth, and then gets punished and gets imprisoned on the Earth. I mean, these are great stories, for God's sakes, and he's putting them out every month. And not only is he doing it in the Fantastic Four, but he's doing it in 7 or 8 other books at the same time. It's insane. Daredevil. We're doing the lawyer, Blind Lawyer. We're doing Ant-Man over here. We're doing the Avengers. We're doing Thor. We're doing Iron Man. It just one after another after another after another,
So
Crazy.
I think that I would have to go with probably Galactus. That was what?
Yeah.
Fantastic Four 48, 49, and 50.
Yep.
I think that might be his best. I think overall
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
a story arc, but I definitely think that Spider-Man's his best work. I think I will.
Yeah,
I think his
yeah,
or at least
yeah.
the character that resonates with me the most.
Yeah.
Because I didn't even really know who Stanley was when I was a kid. I just knew I loved all these
Right.
characters. And then I remember watching the Spider-Man the animated series, and he has that cameo where he meets the Spider-Man that was created by Stan Lee, and then he takes him to meet Stan Lee, and then Stan Lee's so excited to see Spider-Man, and I think that that's one of the best Stan Lee cameos because he voiced him himself. And I was like, who's this?
See, now which animated? See, I grew up with the original '60s cartoon. Now,
Right.
which one?
This
Are
was
you doing the one? Are you talking about the one that had like Drake Bell as the voice of Spider-Man?
no,
Is
like
that
the '90s one.
the '90s one. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Spider-Man the
okay.
animated series.
Uh-huh.
I'll have
And
to.
he meets Stan Lee at the end of I didn't watch all those. I only saw a couple of them. So he meets Stan Lee in those?
He meets Stan Lee in like one episode, and Stan Lee's like so excited that he tells like his assistant to hold his. I just remember as a kid, I was like, "This guy's so cool. He created
Yeah.
Spider-Man."
That's
Like, and I
so
just
meta.
wanted to know
That's
everything
cool.
about him.
Yeah.
And I was just like, "Oh, Stan Lee's the greatest. Like, I want to meet. I want to meet this dude. I want to." And for the longest time, that was the number one thing. Is I was like, if I grow up and I interview people, I want to interview Stan Lee. Fortunately, I never did it, but
Yeah.
he was always the person that I was like, Stan's the person I want to meet. And
yeah.
I'd always push it off. I'd be like, you know what? I'll wait a little longer. I'll meet him. And then,
Yeah.
didn't get a chance. I'll find it and I'll send it to you over Facebook. And I think
I appreciate that.
I think
yeah.
you'll enjoy it. It's,
Now, see, when I was a kid, I'd read the comics. I was like 4 or 5, and every Marvel comic, when you opened it up, it started off with a brief sentence or two about the origin of the hero that you were about to read.
right.
So if it was Spider-Man, it would say, bitten by a radioactive spider, Peter Parker gains the proportionate strength of a spider and fights crime and knows the great powers of responsibility. I think that's what it says. And it always said Stan Lee Presents. And then no matter what book, you'd look at the very top of the page, and it would say Stan Lee Presents, The Fantastic Four, The Incredible Hulk, The Invincible Iron Man. And I just saw those words, Stan Lee Presents, and I would be like, who's this guy? And when you're little, you don't know the difference between a writer and an artist and an inker and a colorist. Yeah, you just think, well, it says Stan Lee Presents. This guy must be magic. He must be like Walt Disney. You don't think that Walt Disney has a whole army of animators and filmmakers. You just think, well, he must be doing it all. He must have a pencil and just draws all this. He's magic.
Yeah.
So I thought Stan Lee did it all. And I would draw Marvel comics. I'd have paper and I would just draw and draw and draw. My mom wrote to Stan when I was probably like 7. I think I was, about second grade. I think I'm 7 or 8 years old, second grade. So she writes to Stan, and I remember I drew this great Fantastic Four. Well, I thought it was great. Fantastic Four picture. And she sent it in, and then we got this little blue postcard back, probably like a 5x7 postcard. And it said, Dear Mitch, your mom said that you really want to come work here one day. Keep practicing. And hopefully we'll have you working here at the mighty Marvel, House of Ideas or something like that. And I taped that thing to my wall. And every morning I'd get up to go to school, I'd see it. Every night I go to bed, I'd see it. And that thing was on my wall. I'd had to be all during grammar school and high school. Somehow I lost it. To this day, if I could find it, I would be so happy.
Oh, that's
But it was signed
heartbreaking.
by Stan. It was signed by Stan. And that's why I went to school to become an artist. I went to, practice and drew and went to college and got a degree in design and illustration and all that. And went off to Marvel and applied and, all that stuff. All because that guy wrote me back.
And he legitimately signed it?
Yeah. It was signed by
that
Stan.
is so awesome.
Wow. Yeah.
That is so.
Yeah, but the years later, though, I go to meet him. I met him like 7 or 8 times in my life. And then I was going to apply for a job at DC Comics in 1993, August 8th, 1993. And I had my interview there at 1 o'clock. And earlier that day, they were having a stockholders meeting for Marvel stockholders. And I said, oh, geez, I had some stock in the company. So I went to New York City for my interview, but I went early so I could go to the stockholders meeting because Stan Lee would always be there at them. And nobody would bother him, and autographs were free. And I went in and I told him I was going off to D.C. to apply for a job.
Ooh,
and I'm
must
like,
have
I'm
broke
sorry,
his
Mr.
heart.
Lee, I know you're Mr. Marvel, but I'm going to the competition across the street. So he gets a comic book. There was Spider-Man comic book, stacks of them. And he grabs, it's like, to Mitch, good luck with your job interview at the distinguished competition. And he underlines D.C. And he goes, your pal, Stan Lee. So I go across the street for my job interview at 1 o'clock. And I tell the lady, I go, hey, I know this is DC and all that, but I have a letter here from Mr. Stan Lee recommending and wishing me good luck, if that means anything. And she just stared at me and like, no, that doesn't mean anything. That's the other guys. We're not Marvel. I was like, oh, whatever. At least I got an autograph from Stan. Who cares
Right.
what you think?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I bet you now it would mean something.
That I have. I have that, but I didn't throw that one. I have that autograph and a bunch of others I got since then, so they're still here.
I think just that story you told, which I never knew.
Yeah.
I knew you wanted to be an artist. We've talked about that before, but I never knew you went to that level, which I think is awesome. But that just kind of depicts even how great of a guy Stan was. He could have been like, "Oh, you're going to DC? Get out of here!"
Yeah.
But he was so cool about it.
He was he knew what it was. He knew the business. He knew how to get along with everybody. He was like a P.T. Barnum in that way. He was a big showman, you know.
Oh,
That's probably
for sure.
one of his greatest strengths.
And you can tell because if you look just in the past day and a half, you see all DC people, Jim Lee, everybody being like, "Oh, you know,
everybody, yeah.
he's so influential to me. Like I wouldn't be anywhere without Stan and stuff like that." So
yeah.
Now,
Well, because when you grew up and you thought of comic books, you just thought of Stan Lee, you know.
right?
It's because he was the representative out there. He was the guy on the news and the interview shows and the talk shows and the conventions and stuff, and in the movies eventually with all those cameos. I mean, you can't think of a superhero movie without Stan Lee. I mean, I bet some people wonder why he doesn't pop up in the Batman movies. Like, how come Stan Lee's not in these things? They don't know the difference, you know?
Yeah.
So correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Stan Lee's the only work I can remember Stan Lee doing for DC was that Just Imagine series.
Yeah.
Where he
that's
kind of
correct.
re-imaged kind of all the heroes and stuff.
Yep.
And I just
Superman and Batman and all the main characters he did. Yeah.
I felt dirty wanting to read it. I just remember being like, I can't believe
they're good.
Oh no,
my buddy Jerry Ordway worked with Stan on the Superman one. So yeah, go out and find those.
They're definitely good. I just remember,
Yeah.
Being a little older, being like, oh, it just doesn't feel right that he's here. But yeah, there was some cool stuff, and he worked with some great people. He worked with the Kuberts. He worked with Jim Lee. He worked with John Buscema. He worked with a ton of great writers. I mean, great artists, and I'm sure he worked with some writers or something over there too. But yeah, I just remember as a little older kid now, I was like, oh, I don't feel right about this. Because my dad passed away in 2000. He's the person that got me into comics. And this was around, what was it, 2001, I think, when they started popping out?
They came out just before 9/11,
Yeah, and I just remember my dad, me thinking, oh, my dad would be, like, so devastated if he found out that Stan was, writing some DC stuff. But, it was definitely some cool stuff. But I know a lot of people doesn't even know that. They don't even know that Stan was there for a little bit. He kind of rolled over to DC.
I think those are collected in a trade, actually.
Oh, really?
Called Stanley Just Imagine. I'm pretty sure they have them all in one, like an omnibus type of thing.
I remember I got like a stack of them. They came in this like plastic container, and they had a bunch of like just single issues, and it said like Stanley's Just Imagine. It wasn't like a whole collected hardcover, but it was like this hard plastic, and they were all in it. Like a bunch of them were in it. I don't know if all of them were in it, but I remember reading them as...
I probably have them somewhere in this house. I don't know where. Like, that's the problem when you have like 40,000 comics and they're not well organized. I don't know. But they're probably in this house somewhere.
Yeah, I wasn't really good with my comics when I was younger. I wish I was, but I had some quality comics, and I destroyed a lot of them. Or I would, when I was really young, I'd draw in them or something.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You're that kid.
Yeah. And then I realized that I ruined a lot of really good
Shouldn't
comics.
have done that. Yeah.
I remember my dad gave me an issue of Spawn #1. I know this is a little off topic. He gave me the first issue of Spawn, and I drew like all over Spawn to make him look not so scary.
What's the matter with
And
you?
then like maybe a couple years later, he's like, "Do you still have that issue?" I'm like, "Yeah." And I showed it to him, and it had like Spawn with like a smile on his face and stuff, and.
That's fun. Yeah, that's fine. You had fun with it.
Yeah,
I used to don't feel bad. I used to cut them up when we were little. I'd get out a pair of scissors and and cut up the characters and glue them down and make like little cartoons out of them and make my own comics out of them. So we didn't have a scanner and Photoshop back in the 70s. We just had a glue stick and a pair of scissors.
So what were you gonna say before I threw out my little Spawn story? You were right in the middle of, you were about to say something, and then I kind of...
No, me? No.
Yeah, oh, okay. So well, how about you, Jason? Is there any... What was your first, like, moment of Stan Lee? The first time you were like, this guy's great.
Yeah, it was probably when I was introduced to Spider-Man in general, because that just ended up being my favorite character. I thought it was the most relatable character, because I sort of saw myself in Spider-Man a little bit,
of
just
course.
being like the dorky little kid who, you know, as you said, like just has everyday problems just like the rest of us. But I was like, yeah, even he can be cool. Like, you know, so why can't I? Like, it was one of those things where I just related to it in that way. So yeah, once I was introduced to Spider-Man and once I figured out the man behind that, I was like, okay, yeah, this is really cool.
Dimitri, were you able to cut up those pieces of sound of him talking, of Stan talking?
Oh, did you want to play him now or a little bit later?
Well, if you can play that Spider-Man one. There's two of them. One, he talks about like one of his favorite Spider-Man moments, or like the realest Spider-Man moment for him, and I just think this is a good time to play it.
Yeah, give me a minute. I'll be able to.
All right, yeah. So, just getting on the Spider-Man moment, because Mitch, I have a really cool little piece of Stan talking about, you know, one of his favorite realist moments in, you know, him writing Spider-Man, and
Yeah.
we'll play that in a minute. But you
Okay.
know, what are some of your favorite Spider-Man moments?
You talking to me or
Yeah,
to
yeah,
Jason?
to you, because I feel that you'd be able to rifle them off probably better than both of us.
Okay, favorite Spider-Man moments. I remember as a kid, the whole drug issue. That was like a kick-ass thing. It's like, wow, Stan Lee, he don't care about that Comics Code Authority. He's going to tell a story that has to be told. So when Harry Osborn was addicted to pills,
Yes.
and that was like badass, you know.
Yes.
There's that one. Let us see other Spider-Man ones too. Well, Spider-Man meeting the Molten Man as he trying to graduate high school. I always thought that was bizarre. Of course, meeting Mary Jane finally, because she'd been dodging him forever.
Yeah.
They'd always try to fix him up, and you know, Aunt May and Anna Watson, Mary Jane's aunt, were always trying to hook up Peter Parker and Mary Jane, and they would always duck each other. So there was always something funny about that. So when you read the issue where he opens the door and they finally meet each other, that's one of those highlights in there. Of course, the famous Steve Ditko. I think it's issue 33 or 31, where Spider-Man's, you know, underneath all that wreckage, and he pushes the pipes above him to get out that one page.
Probably the most iconic Spider-Man image.
Yeah. They redid that in the Homecoming film. They kind of did a variation of that movie, of that scene, where he's got to, like, you know, sum up his courage and lift up that big wreckage above his head and you know, come on, Spider-Man, you can do it, Spider-Man. The other one, I was just thinking of it just made me forget. Spider-Man No More, that famous cover where he's throwing his costume in the garbage. Issue 50, first appearance of the Kingpin. A lot of these books are enormously expensive now. When I was a kid, they weren't that bad, but I remember now trying to go back and buying some of them. I'm like, how much do they want for these things now?
Yeah.
Good God.
Ever since the first Spider-Man movie, like with Tobey Maguire,
The prices,
that's when they shot up. Yeah, that was the...
They were never that expensive.
You could
Never
maybe
that
get
much.
some of them for maybe $10, maybe $20.
Yeah.
You know, maybe
yeah,
30 at the
absolutely.
most.
Now it's like hundreds.
Yeah, hundreds.
Wow.
Legitimately
Yeah,
hundreds.
yeah.
And they won't even be in good condition. They're like awful condition.
No, they're all beat. You know what I always liked? I always liked how the Human Torch and Spider-Man would always meet each other on the Statue of Liberty and talk. That was like their hangout spot.
Yeah, they were just buddies.
Stan kind of made the two teenage guys. One's, you know, working for the Fantastic Four, and you always assumed that they had some money and a little bit more, you know, affluent. And then here's this Queens teenage kid, you know, eating pancakes that his aunt makes him in the morning, hanging out with Johnny Storm, just talking about stuff. I always like those moments that you see. The best Stan Lee action story, I think there was the Sinister Six when they first meet, and every battle in that book, the big fight scene is a splash page. So as you're going through it and he fights Electro, that end it will be a big giant splash page with him and Electro punching each other out, and then you go through the whole gallery of villains there. You got the Doc Ock and Craven, one after another. That's a great Spider-Man book if you never read that one, the King Size Annual.
Yes.
Other Stan Lee moments.
Craven the Hunter is probably maybe my favorite Spider-Man villain. And
I was going to say, yeah, Craven, and then I always like Doc Ock. I think he's always gets a bad rap because he's smart, but he's also goofy looking at the same time, little pudgy villain, you know. The Green Goblin always scared the hell out of me because that was just a creepy looking costume, you know, like a mask. Like,
and when he first kind of rolled on the scene, he was very frightening.
Yeah, I was like, what is that all about, you know? What other ones there? The death of Captain Stacy when he dies, when the Doc Ock's fighting Spider-Man, and the building falls down on him.
Yep.
And Spider-Man goes to save Captain Stacy, and Captain Stacy tells Spider-Man, take care of Gwen, because he always knew that he was Peter Parker. That's the type of stuff that, I mean, it's very soap opera, soap opera-ish.
Yeah.
But it hits you. You're like, oh my God, he knew you was Spider-Man. Oh shit! You know, you're just like that surprise. You know,
definitely. And then Gwen Stacy dying. Oh.
Well, that wasn't him. That's Jerry Conway and Roy Thomas. But still, that, you know, still
told
Stan,
a big.
Stan was like, what happened? I was out of town. What did you do now?
Yeah, I remember watching an episode of Comic Book Man, and they talked about that, and he was like talking about how he felt about her dying and stuff. Yeah.
They didn't tell Stan what was going on, so he wasn't too thrilled about it until he found out. Because somebody asked him at a convention, they said, "What do you think about Gwen Stacy dying?" He's like, "When did Gwen Stacy die?" Like, "Oh, they just killed her in the books." He's like, "What? What?" And he got on the phone and called Roy Thomas up and he said, "Hey, Roy, why the hell did you kill Gwen Stacy?" They're like, "Oh, we thought we told you, Stan." He's like, "No, you didn't tell me." So, oops.
So for me, it's definitely, you mentioned it, him first meeting Mary Jane, and that's one of the little quotes we have here. That Dimitri, can you play it?
Yeah, is it the shorter one or the longer one?
I'm not sure. It's the one where he talks about Peter Parker meeting Mary Jane.
Oh, let's try it.
No, that wasn't it, but I'm glad we played it anyways. But play the other one. That's the one I wanted. And it's cool that, you mentioned it, Mitch, and that's probably one of my if not my favorite Spider-Man moment when he, first sees Mary Jane. I think that's really cool. And just to hear him kind of throw that out there that, it was kind of like how he first saw his wife, and I think that's awesome. I think that's so cool.
Yeah.
That's definitely so cool.
He and Joni had a nice 70-year marriage together. So, like I said, that's something you don't see every day.
Yeah, something that a lot of people strive for, that they want to have that, fairy tale storybook marriage, and he kind of had
Yeah.
it, which is awesome.
Yes, sir.
So let's go over some of we kind of did already, but let's go over some of the characters that he created. You know, in case there's some of the fans that are listening that are like, oh, you know, I know he created this, but maybe they didn't know that he created this person. So obviously, you know, he created Spider-Man, and he created Black Panther and Doctor Strange and Daredevil. But what are some maybe smaller characters that you don't really think about that he created?
Well, you mentioned the Black Panther, but there's Claw, the bad guy that fights him.
Yes.
The Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver. You know, the
Yes.
Scarlet Witch is over there kicking butt. Then we have the other Captain Marvel, you know, the one that's going to be changed into Brie Larson. You know, he came up with that. Silver Surfer. Some minor characters. I mean, hell, the whole villains, all those villains, Doc Ock, Green Goblin, Vulture, Electro, the Lizard, the Chameleon, so many of them, the Kingpin.
Yes.
That was just in Daredevil. Everybody was going nuts about the Kingpin. I'm like, well, Stan Lee came up with the Kingpin. Goodness, Doctor Doom. Right then and there, Fantastic Four's Doctor Doom. That's a whole creation of Magneto, the original X-Men.
Juggernaut,
I mean, there's just so much.
who's one of my
Juggernaut,
favorite.
the Hulk, the Rhino. God, man, it goes on and on. I mean, literally, I think he's the most prolific creator in history. I can't think of somebody that's come up with such an army of heroes and characters and villains. You know?
Yeah.
And then you got people. Then you got the subcategory. You got the supporting people like J. Jonah Jameson.
Yup.
You know, Jarvis the butler.
Happy Hogan.
Or with the Avengers. Happy Hogan. Yeah, Pepper Potts, Happy Hogan, all that. A Loki. You know, all the subcategories. Odin. I mean, I know he didn't create Norse mythology, but he adapted it.
He put
created
his
all those
swing on
characters.
them,
The Watcher.
Yup.
You know,
Fing Fang Foom.
Fin Fang Foom, that crazy dragon that pops up now. The Ant-Man
With shorts.
and the Wasp.
Yeah, Ant-Man and Wasp.
Yeah.
Groot.
And who can forget Paste Pot Pete? Oh, wait a
Yes.
second. Let's forget that one. They're not all home runs, buddy.
Hey, a lot of writers nowadays are kind of bringing Paste Pot Pete back, making him kind of cooler or used at least.
Yeah, there's that funny story what Dan Slott did about, I think it's when the Human Torch and Spider-Man. It's like an earlier story when they first meet Paste Pot Pete, and he changes his name to the Trapster.
Yeah.
And they're literally just like falling on the ground laughing. They're like, what the hell is your name? Like, Paste Pot Pete. I'm like, no, come on, seriously, what's your name? He's like, that is my name. And it's just a funny little story where they're goofing on it.
The
you know?
last run of Deadpool, Jerry Duggan makes him kind of a bigger secondary character in his Deadpool run, which was pretty cool.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he kind of brings him back and makes him a little bit more less of a joke, but he's still a joke. But
Yeah. Well, it's fun that they have that stuff, you know, and then, you know, the Sergeant Fury and the Howling Commandos, Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., all that. Doctor Strange, we didn't even talk about that.
yeah, Doctor Strange is
Dormammu-
so big now.
Dormammu and Baron Mordo and all that stuff that's going to save the Avengers probably next year when the movie comes out.
Yeah.
All those things.
Or just if you watch the first Doctor, well, there only is one, but another one's coming. But when you watch the Doctor Strange movie, that fight with Dormammu is almost similar to the fight that Stan Lee did when he first fights him in the comics, which is awesome.
Yeah.
When they kind of go in that like loop, he did it very similar to that, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, see, I mean...
And a lot of people, most people don't know, because I know I give them hell a lot, but Stan Lee also created the Inhumans.
Yeah, that was in the Fantastic Four. It seems like almost every issue, like you mentioned, the Galactus and the Watcher and the Silver Surfer. Then a couple months later, you got Black Panther. Then you got the Inhumans. Then the Black Panther, the Frightful Four, the Sandman.
Yep.
It just goes on and on and on.
The Fantastic Four just brought everyone in. That's what it seems.
The Skrulls.
Oh, the Skrulls.
Okay, the Skrulls. That was him. Came up with that whole idea. That's going to be a big part of Captain Marvel's movie next year.
Which is really cool because they didn't have the rights to them for a while, right? They couldn't use the
No,
Skrulls.
they did not. That was part of the Fantastic Four's deal with Fox, so somehow they got that. Good golly. How they got everything is beyond me, but they did.
And then he put his own swing on the Greek mythology gods like Zeus and Ares and
Hercules.
Hercules, yep. Which is really cool. A lot of people don't know that if you're not into comics.
He brought back Namor, the Submariner. He brought back the Human Torch, who was also a World War II character when he did the Fantastic Four. You know, and then all the like I said, all the supporting characters over in the Hulk. You had General, Thaddeus Ross, who becomes the Red Hulk years later. He's in there.
If you enjoyed Jessica Jones, he created the Purple Man.
Oh, that's right. The Purple Man from Daredevil, yeah.
Yep. Created
Foggy Nelson, all that Daredevil stuff.
Is all him.
Karen Page. Crazy, isn't it?
And he loved having
one guy.
the double name, so, Peter Parker.
Yeah, the alliterate. You know why that is?
No, I don't, actually.
It was so he wouldn't forget the names.
Get out of here.
No, that's why he did that.
Wow.
That's one way to do it, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, Peter Parker, got it. J. Jonah Jameson, got it. Pepper Potts, got it. Happy Hogan. They always have the double letters, most of them, just so he wouldn't forget them.
I always thought he just enjoyed the sound or something.
No, and he did it. He did forget it once, very famously. It's either Fantastic Four 24, 25, where the Avengers and the Fantastic Four are fighting, and the Hulk is in the story. And what happens is the Hulk falls into the water at the end, and he turns back into Banner, but Stan forgot his name. So he put the Hulk has, transformed once again into the small, frail frame of Bob Banner. Huh. And people were going nuts, and they wrote letters to him. They're like, hey, wait a minute, his name's Bruce Banner. You said his name was Bob Banner. And they goes, oh, that's his middle name. His full name is Robert. No, I'm sorry. It was Robert Bruce Banner.
Yep.
Yeah,
so
and
I didn't know
how that happened. It's all because he made a mistake.
I always knew that was his middle name because when I found out, I was so cool because I was like, that's his middle name. But I didn't know that he messed up. Yeah. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, he messed up, and that created what they would call the Marvel No Prizes, where the fans would write in and they find a mistake.
Right.
And not only would you find a mistake, you had to explain what happened. And if you had a good enough reason, Stan would print it, and you would become the winner of a Marvel No Prize, which was just an envelope with nothing inside of it.
That is so cool. It really is.
Yeah.
It is definitely something that I didn't know. That's awesome. And he also created Alicia Masters, who
Yep, the Puppet Master's stepdaughter.
Yeah, who the Thing had a relationship with.
Yeah, the Thing's getting married apropos next month.
Right, yeah, they're getting married.
And going to be in the cover, but Stan's going to be in the background. That's kind of cool.
Well, he should be there. Yeah, he should be there. Yeah, he should be at every
of course.
Marvel wedding. You should have him there. Yeah. Which is cool because for a while they kind of was like, no more characters can get married. It's over. And now they're kind of going back off that and kind of letting them get married.
Well, ever since C.B. Cebulski got into Marvel, they're kind of finally going back and making things the way they used to be.
Yeah, they always promised. They were like, you'll never get Peter Parker and Mary Jane back together. And he came back and he's like, oh, they're back. Too bad. They're back together now.
Yeah.
Maybe not back together like everyone wanted, but they're at least back together.
Yeah.
So. No. He's setting things right.
He really
He's doing good, that CB.
I felt very uneasy about it. And then when we went to your con, we saw their, panel. I was like, wow, I see him in a whole new light. Like, I was like, this guy's changing everything. I hate it.
Yeah.
And then I realized, like, he loves this stuff as much as I do, so it's got to be good. And it's been really good. The newer stuff that I've read since he's been in charge has been really good. So I commend him for sure. But yeah.
Yeah, CB's doing a great job in my book.
Yeah, Stan's created everyone. You name him. He's Flash Thompson, everybody.
Oh, the Falcon.
Yeah.
The
Red Wing's
that's another
bird.
one we totally forgot about.
Yeah.
Batroc the Leaper, Arnim Zola, Baron Zemo, all those guys, all the Rogues Gallery, all the villains. Too much, too many of them.
Yeah.
Just look at all the toys you have. They're all Stan Lee toys. I don't know if you play video games. I just finished playing that Spider-Man PlayStation game.
Oh,
My God, it was like the greatest comic book come to life, and it's all based on Stan Lee villains and heroes.
It's absolutely amazing. Yeah.
Keep hearing it.
Oh,
It is.
man.
Oh,
If
amazing.
you liked Spider-Man before, that game will make you love Spider-Man. It's unbelievable.
Oh yeah, I sat there and said this was better than any Spider-Man movie ever.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
The way it was done, the animation, the gameplay was the best Spider-Man game ever made.
No, I've been telling people it's my favorite type of Spider-Man media that I've ever consumed. It's that
Yep.
good.
Wow. Yeah, I don't have a PlayStation, but it makes me want to get one. Just
We're
to
gonna
play
get
that.
you one.
Get the Spider-Man exclusive one. That's got the his.
Oh, they had
his
an
logo on it.
exclusive one.
Oh yeah, you can get the PS4 with like the Spider-Man skin on it, the controller, and the game comes with
Nice,
it. Yeah.
Oh.
nice.
Yeah.
So, Mitch, did Stan
Yes.
write the story where Hank Pym smacks his wife? Was that Stan?
Oh, that was Bob Hall. That was in the early '80s. Stan did not write that story.
Okay.
Yeah.
For some
And
reason,
that was misinterpreted, too. There's a story about that. He went to push her away, but when the artist went to draw the panel, he didn't get that it was just, he was just pushing her away. He thought he, smacked her
right,
away.
yeah.
So he drew like a backhanded thing. It was never the intention that he was, beating his wife up like that.
Put that huge whack in there.
That's how it came out, yeah.
Interesting. All right. I always thought it was something a little older, but good to know.
No, that was in the early '80s.
I haven't.
Honestly, Stan Lee never would have written that.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
what I was
He
thinking.
would have written a
I
story
can't
like
imagine.
that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
That
maybe he would
was
have
more
written
of a
something.
shock value thing.
Right.
What's that?
Yeah. Maybe he would have written something similar, but it wouldn't be misinterpreted. Probably. I don't think he would have had. Yeah.
Because you know what? That kind of always put a sour note on Henry Pym. No matter what happens.
Yeah.
No matter how the Ant-Man, the Yellow Jacket, whatever he becomes, trying to be like, hey man, you're that jerk that slapped the boss. What the hell?
Yeah. And everyone always puts it out there. Anytime you mention him, they're like, he's a woman abuser.
Yeah, he beats his wife, dude. There's nothing cool about the Ant-Man.
How
Like,
could-
wait, what?
Yeah, when they first were like, oh, we're going to make an Ant-Man movie, they were like, he hits his wife. Like, why would you put that out there? And,
I
that
know.
Guy. Yeah.
and I think that was one of the
I
main reasons they went with Scott Lang instead of, Hank Pym at
instead of
first.
Pym, yep.
Because they were like, he beats his wife. And it was like one time, dude, and it wasn't even supposed to be that way.
Yeah, I know.
I'm looking at the shot of it now, and it's when he was Yellow Jacket, too. It's even worse.
Yeah, no, it was. Yep.
So, another thing about Stan that a lot of people love, that I'm sure you love, I know I love, is his cameos in the movies. So, what is your favorite Stan Lee cameo?
I have to say the Guardians 2 one where he was sitting with the Watchers telling them stories about all the other cameos he did. He's like, and then one time they had me as a FedEx guy. I'm like, wait, what? So it was kind of alluding that Stan's been like almost like one of the Watchers in all these movies as everything's happening.
And then the people at Marvel basically said that's exactly it. He was the Watcher, or one of the Watchers, yeah. Which I think is so much cooler. So my favorite one is one of the Iron Man ones. It might be when he was actually the FedEx guy, when he comes up and he's like, I got a delivery for Tony Stank.
That was Captain Civil War.
Yeah, that's made me laugh so hard. I don't know why. I just laughed. I just remember being in the theater and I laughed so hard, and that's just my favorite one. And every time I hear it, he's like, Tony Stank, and I'm just like, it just gets me every time. I don't know what, it's not even like the most iconic one.
Tony Stank. Yeah, that's a good one. Or you know what was a good one too, when he was in Captain America and they introduced Captain America and he doesn't show up and he goes, I thought he'd be taller,
Yeah, there's definitely some good ones. What was it? The other?
Yeah. You know what was weird? I don't know if you saw it. He was in Venom. which made no sense to me whatsoever. I'm like,
No.
Stanley has nothing to do with Venom? But
Yeah, I
what the
didn't
hell?
know that.
I didn't see it. He was in the movie?
He's got a cameo in it. I'm like, why is Stanley in this movie? But, you know, he was in Deadpool as well, but he had nothing to do
Right.
with Deadpool
Yeah.
either.
Yeah.
But what's interesting with the whole Venom thing is Marvel made it so clear, like, Venom has nothing to do with the cinematic universe. Like, we have nothing to do with Venom.
Yeah.
Spider-Man's completely
Yeah.
separate from Venom. And I know that Sony was really trying hard to get Venom to be added, so maybe that was it. They're like, well, we got a cameo. You got to put us in now.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't know what's going to... And it made a ton of money, so, you know, I don't think they're going to let that one go anytime soon.
So did you saw it? Was it serviceable?
Yeah.
Was it good? Was it awful? I stayed away from it.
You know what
but
it was? It wasn't bad. It wasn't great. It was watchable. It was entertaining, but it is severely suffering from like 20 different editors because that movie is all over the place. It's like a chase movie. It's a horror movie, like a werewolf picture. It's a big, goofy battle at the end with alien invaders, and I'm like, what is happening here? I mean, it is, and then slapstick comedy in some scenes with Tom Hardy, the way he's acting. It's literally all over the place. You can watch that movie and go, okay, now they're going for this type of movie. And the storylines, if you go to map it out, they don't add up. Like if they establish something in the beginning, like the symbiote can only go to certain people. It can only bond to certain people. Okay. Well, that's thrown out later on because then it's bonding with everybody. I'm like, wait, what happened? I thought it would only go to certain hosts. No, they just don't mention that again.
I know that Tom Hardy said that they cut out all the best parts or all the parts that he liked the best to get a
You could definitely tell
easier
there's
rating.
storylines all over the place.
Yeah. He said that they cut out all the best stuff to get an easier rating. And I guess I believe it.
The violence is really curtailed a lot because you can see where it could have been really over the top rated R, but they went for a PG-13. You're like, really? That's what you're gonna do?
Yeah, I don't understand that either.
I think it was like, what did it make? 600-700 million worldwide. It did something crazy. So,
Wow. That's
Actually,
insane.
higher,
sure it
that's
made a lot
higher
of
than I
money.
would have thought. Yeah.
yeah. I thought it was gonna be a bomb. I was like, yeah, maybe by 100 million or something.
Right. Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know
Surprised
that
it got
made
up
that
that
much.
high.
Yeah,
Oh
that
yeah,
is-
I mean it was. I think it came out at the time of year where there's nothing playing too. That kind of helped it,
Yeah.
Yeah, and then, didn't they push it back too so it would come out in, a better
probably.
time
September,
frame?
October,
Yeah.
yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
I think they originally were going to have it
Here
over
it
the
is.
summer.
No, I just checked it. It grossed $700 million worldwide.
What?
More money than the Justice League movie. Yep,
Get
Wow.
out.
Yeah, that's
I
shocking.
just saw it. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, well, I
And
remember
this can't be stopped. It's still making money. I'm reading the headline. It's still making money. Wow.
one of the Stanley cameos that I really enjoyed now that I'm thinking about it. It was from The Incredible Hulk. The movie wasn't that great, but his cameo was great. With the soda, he drank
With
like
Luke
the
Ferrigno? the soda. Yeah.
he drank like the gamma radiated soda like
Yeah.
that was a good one. That was pretty funny.
Yeah. I think my favorite
Actually-
one was from.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Was probably from X-Men Apocalypse, the one where it was him and his wife, when the nuclear
world's
nuclear
coming to an
bombs
end.
all
Yeah.
go off.
Still
and
haven't seen it yet, but
so there's a scene where like nukes go off, whatever, right? And they do the classic thing in any nuclear scenario where they show small town America and all these citizens
Yep.
are outside their house looking skyward, and two of them are Stan Lee and his wife, just looking up at the sky as all the nukes are flying over. But I just thought it was cool that it was him and his wife on there.
that's awesome.
Yeah, that was kind of, yeah. I was just reading real quick. It says that now that it's opened up in China, Venom, it made $111 million in 3 days, which is like a record over there. And it said it's on its way to make $800 million, which is like, why bother making Spider-Man movies when they could just make a Venom movie and make $800 million? And next up for them, ready for this, is Morbius the Living Vampire and maybe a Kraven the Hunter movie. There you go.
Wait, hold on a second. They're not going to be
reading
Spider-Man
it.
villains. They're going to have their own movies.
Yeah.
Ah, That
it is on Forbes.com. It said it would be cheaper just to do the villains than to do or a slim down Spider-Man movie than to go crazy and try to make another Amazing Spider-Man like Amazing Spider-Man 2 with Andrew Garfield, which didn't do so well.
Yeah.
See, I think,
and now they could just do this stuff. What's that?
If they did it right, and I've said this for a long time, kind of getting a little away from Stan, but they could make a Spider-Man movie where maybe the first 10 minutes is him beating a villain. He just, he goes in, beats the villain, and then the rest of the movie is him focusing on another villain. So you get that villain in there.
Right.
Maybe later on in the movie he beats another villain real quick. Not high-level villain, maybe like the Shocker or something. Or
Yeah.
And they did a really good job, I think, in Homecoming because they had a couple villains. The Shocker was in there. Scorpion was in there. Vulture was in there, but they weren't in there, well, some of them weren't in their aliases, but they fit them all in there, and they did a good job. So, yeah, I don't know. So I was looking up some of the best Stan Lee cameos, and the top 5. Number 1 is the one that you said, Jason.
Oh, really?
Which is really cool. Number 2 is the Guardians of the Galaxy Watcher one.
I like that one.
Number 3 is the Amazing Spider-Man one. Number 4 is Doctor Strange, where he's riding the bus. That was pretty cool.
Oh,
The bus one was good, yeah.
And then number 5 is the one that I was talking about, Tony Stank.
Yeah.
So,
There you go. See?
yeah, I don't know what about it, but it just makes me laugh so hard every time I see it.
What was his one in Infinity War?
I don't remember. Did he? He had one. I just don't remember it.
Oh, it gets me right now. I mean, I remember him in Ant-Man and Wasp.
Yeah.
I just saw that one. He was by the car, and the car shrank.
Yeah.
What the hell was he in?
Yeah, I don't
In
remember.
Black Panther, he was in the casino.
Right. Yeah, I don't
In
know.
Infinity War, he was, well, it would have to be on the Earth somewhere, right? Jeez, I don't know. I can't think of what he was in the Infinity War.
Yeah, what the hell was he?
He didn't fade away.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember it.
Oh, it's going to bug me.
It's
Was he
gonna-
on the TV or
It's gonna
something?
bug me, too.
No, that was in the Avengers. He was like, oh, superheroes in New York. That was the first one.
Yep. Oh,
He had to be in it.
He definitely was in. He's been in every movie. I can't remember him not being in it. For some reason, I can't.
I don't know now. I'm like, wait, Cap and everybody goes over to Wakanda to fight. He's not there, obviously. Tony Stark and all those guys are in space, so he's not there.
I even remember his cameo in that crappy Daredevil movie. Him reading the paper right before he gets when he was a kid.
Oh, so was he the
What?
guy? Was he the one who, when Spider-Man, he like bounces off a car at some
Oh,
point?
he's a bus driver.
And he's a bus driver, and he's like, "Oh, it must have been a bug."
Yes,
That's
yeah,
okay.
He says something like, "Oh, what's the matter? You never seen an alien spaceship before?"
yes, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
When the kids are freaking out. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So that's what it was.
Wow, that scared me for a minute. I was like, "Oh my God, he wasn't in that. He had to be in it. What are you talking about?"
And they said that he.
I always love when he pops up. The audience always gives a little cheer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's like the one time you don't get mad if somebody talks in the theater if they're like clapping or
Yeah.
cheering because he's there.
Yeah, it's like, "Oh yeah, look, yay, Stan Lee's in it, yay!"
I bet that for the next 2 movies, because he's going to be in Captain Marvel and he's going to be in the next Avengers. That's his
they
last
filmed
one.
his cameos for those.
Yeah, that's his last one. I bet you people are going to you're going to have to like
it's
see it
gonna be-
twice.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you're going to have to like see it twice.
Well, believe it or not, he's in Ralph Wrecks the Internet. I don't know why, but he's got a cameo in that, and I'm pretty sure he's got a cameo in the Spider-Verse animated
bet.
Spider-Man movie.
I remember he had a cameo in Big Hero 6. He was
Yeah,
one of the
sang that little
characters.
song at the end.
He was
He's
one of
got
the
a
characters'
cameo in the
dads or
Spider-Man
whatever.
video game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
I was
not right
playing
without
it, and
Stan.
they're at Mary Jane and Peter Parker at a diner, and there's Stan Lee. I'm like, oh my God, it's
Yeah.
Stan Lee.
All right, so we're winding down here, Mitch. We got a couple minutes left in the show. So, what do you have anything starting up for Terrificon? I know it's super early.
Well, no, it's not super early. In fact, I was supposed to call one of the creators back right now, but I
Oh.
did this tonight, so I'll have to get to them tomorrow. But I got CT GamerCon 3, Connecticut GamerCon 3 coming back in March.
Oh, okay.
23rd, 24th. We're still doing those. People like them. They're video games. They like playing the Fortnite for money.
Yeah.
So we'll
That's
be back.
huge.
And
Yeah.
it's also the same night that Kiss is playing their final concert at Mohegan Sun.
Get out.
So there'll be a lot going on that weekend.
You're gonna have
you
a
know?
heck of a mixed crowd there. That's gonna be
Oh, yeah,
interesting.
yeah. Which is going to be fun for us because, you know, you play video games in the afternoon and then go get something to eat, go see Kiss. Rock
Yeah.
on, man.
There you go.
So is your plan
and
to
then
still do
Tripicon.
two different cons, or are you going to ever connect them, like put them together?
I kind of connected them a little bit this year because I wanted to see if that would work. I was like, let's do a little bit of the tabletop gaming in the corner, and then we did the video games in the breakout rooms. But I think I'm going to expand the video game part next year and then make the tabletop Magic the Gathering and stuff smaller. So that's next year. I don't know. And then I'm going to sit down with them. They're asking me to do a third show over
Oh,
there
wow.
because we've been having. Because this will be honestly, this is my CT GamerCon is going to be the 10th show I've
Yeah.
done there in the last 4 or 5 years, and yeah, because it's been how many? Well, geez, I don't even know anymore. There's 2015, 16, 17, 18. 19. So there'll be 5 Terrificons this year, 2019, and 3. Okay, I'm sorry. So there's 8. I've done 8 shows there in 5 years. So that's a lot of shows.
So if you did a third show, what would you do? Would you ever do like an anime show?
You know, I've had people asking me for anime. I've had people ask me for a horror convention
Ooh,
because we already came
yeah.
up with the horror show. You ready for what it's called?
I'm ready.
Horrific Con. Horrific Con.
Well, all right,
Perfect. Yeah.
all right.
You got Terrific Con, then you got Horrific Con. That's the horror one.
I think you would.
I don't know.
I think you would kill a horror con.
Yeah.
Really?
Pun intended. I think
Okay.
you do a good job. I think you do a really good job.
No, I appreciate that. It's just like horror to me is monsters. I grew up with Frankenstein, Dracula,
I'm kind of
werewolf,
the
Godzilla.
Universal monsters.
Not-
Yeah, I'm kind of the same.
I'm not a slasher hack 'em up movie. I've never really watched the Friday the 13th and Halloween pictures. I've never got into that type of horror. You know.
I've been to a couple horror cons, and people go crazy for them, but there's never usually a lot of them. There's, they had the Walker Stalker con, and then they have the Rock and Shock con in Worcester. So those are the
Well,
only.
I just came back from Alien Con. I was in that this weekend in Baltimore.
Okay.
That was unusual. You ever see that show, Ancient Aliens?
Yeah, with the guy with the crazy hair.
He was there, Giorgio Tsoukalos. That was the whole show. It was 3 days of just, I didn't go all 3 days, but it was just one panel after another panel after another, all about, ancient aliens and pyramids and, Stonehenge and UFOs and all that stuff. I was like, okay, how much can you talk about this stuff? They had about 6,000 or 7,000 people there, which was mind-boggling. I'm like, oh my God,
Wow.
this is all you do? All they did was go from panel to panel to panel.
That's crazy.
There was no they had a couple autographs with some of those guys and some photos and a couple of vendors, maybe like 15 to 20 booths selling books and crystals and skulls and stuff, but Bigfoot T-shirts, that type of thing.
Wow.
But hey, man, there's a con for anything,
So, is there anything you can tell us about Terrificon yet? Is there anything you want to reveal yet? Or is it too early for reveals?
Well, next year there's a bunch of anniversaries happening because I'm always cool to feature
you
a
always
certain
have a
thing.
theme.
And we've
and,
done.
Yeah.
What have we done? We've done Superman's
Superman,
anniversary. We've done a salute to
Batman.
Batman 66.
Yeah.
We did next year will be the 80th anniversary of Marvel Comics.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of Stan, so that's got to be up there. 80th anniversary of Batman.
Oh.
Wow. And then the 30th anniversary of the Batman movie that came out with Michael Keaton. So there's a lot of different ideas, and of course you're going to have Infinity War
Yeah.
come to a conclusion. So a lot of Avengers stuff will be happening. Too bad they pushed Wonder Woman back. That was supposed to come out next year. They got pushed to 2020.
I heard they pushed it back because Jeff Johns wanted to put a little bit more of himself into it, which I'm fine with.
I don't know. What about Aquaman? You looking forward to that since that's the only DC movie coming out? And then we got Shazam. Actually, I forgot.
So I wasn't, but then I saw the most recent trailer, and I was like, maybe it won't be that bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks very Star Warsy, like very epic, you know?
Yeah, and the suit looks really cool. I wish that he
Yeah.
looked a little bit more Aquaman-y. They could have at least gave him a dye job or something, but the
Yeah,
suit looks
yeah.
really good. And I mean,
Well, somebody told me he's supposed to be the Aquaman from the Brave and Bold cartoon, where he had the beard and the long hair, you know? That one that was on a couple
that's
years
fine.
ago.
I mean, in the comics now, I guess to push the movie, he has long hair now and a beard.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
but his
yeah.
hair's still blonde. It's like, can you hook the
just
guy
dye it
up,
blonde.
dye it blonde? Can he at least have blonde hair? Like,
He's probably got some blonde highlights.
yeah, it looks like the ends are like tipped or something. That's about it.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I'm gonna see it. But before I
course
was
you
like,
will.
oh,
Of course you will.
before I was like, I'm not seeing. Just like Venom, I still haven't seen Venom. I'm like, I'm not seeing this movie. And
Go see Venom. If it's still playing, it'll probably be on DVD. I'll tell you what I am looking forward to. It's not really a superhero movie, but I'm looking forward to Creed 2 next week.
oh, me too.
Yeah.
The first Creed,
What a great
one of my
movie that was.
favorites.
With Killmonger in it, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
one of my favorite movies. I've
Nice.
always been a big fan of the Rocky films, but I think Creed just
Yeah.
brings it to a new level. And
Yeah.
yeah, I really want to see that. I'm really excited for that.
And he fights the son of Ivan Drago.
Yeah.
That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, and I think
crazy. It's like a King Kong versus Godzilla movie. you know?
Right?
Like, yeah,
In
two
human
monsters
form.
fighting. Yeah.
Which we're supposed to get soon, eventually.
I know. I saw that. And
So-
then we didn't even talk about. We'll have to come back and talk about other stuff like the new Marvel online streaming service.
Yeah.
With
Oh,
Loki TV shows.
we'll have to have you come back on sooner than normal.
Yeah.
Because there's so
And
much
no
stuff
more
we got to
Iron-
talk about.
No more Iron Fist. No more Luke Cage. We forgot about that. That's over with. Daredevil 3 was
I hear
amazing.
I hear it's getting canceled though.
What Daredevil is?
Yep. I hear they're thinking of canceling it because they're saying that its viewership went down 57%. And I'm just like, I don't know if I believe that.
I don't buy that for a second.
I don't know. That was the best Daredevil. I watched that thing as soon as it came on. That was so good.
I keep
this
hearing
time,
it.
you know?
I still haven't seen it. I gotta watch it. And they
Punisher 2 is coming.
they spilled the beans that they're gonna have a Loki series. So
Yep.
they answered that question: is Loki really dead? I guess not.
Guess
I guess
not.
he's coming back.
He's fine.
They had they're gonna
Yeah.
have a Scarlet Witch series.
Yeah.
So they're bringing in these bigger actors to come on this
Yeah.
streaming service. This streaming service is gonna be a juggernaut.
Yeah.
It's gonna be.
Oh, I know.
It's gonna put a lot.
Have you watched Titans?
No, I haven't.
No.
I watched that too, man. We got to catch up, dude. I mean, I've been watching all this stuff here.
I'm on
I've
the
been watching all
fence.
of it.
I'm on the fence of buying the DC streaming thing
Well,
because
why don't you? Here's what you do: wait till December 20th, because by then all 13 episodes of the
yeah.
Titans will be out. So just get it for the free week of trial, and just watch the Titans and then
yeah,
cancel it.
I might have to do
Okay?
that. Well, what I really want to see is the third season of Young Justice. That was one of my
yeah.
favorite animated
That hasn't
shows.
started yet, though.
I know. So I'm kind of waiting for that whenever that comes out. I think that's when I'll probably.
Yeah.
But maybe I will just get it just so we can talk about it.
Oh yeah, Titans is actually really, really good, dude. I thought
It
it was
is
going
good.
to suck. The first episode didn't. It gets so good in the second, third, fourth. So far, every episode's been fantastic.
So when I saw that trailer of him being like F Batman, I was like,
Oh,
gross,
yeah,
get
that's
out of
in
here.
there.
Ooh, yeah.
But it's the same dude that does Arrow and The Flash and all
Yeah,
those shows.
yeah.
So it's like, can he do anything wrong? I mean, Arrow kind of went down a little
actually,
bit.
you know what, dude? They swear a lot in this show, and I
Really?
think it's only because they want to seem adult. Because
Yeah.
if you got rid of the F-bombs, it's fine. I'm sitting there going, is there really a necessity to keep swearing every 2 seconds on this show? Because there's been no sex. There's been
Yeah.
some violence. But they just keep saying F this and F that.
I
Like,
think
why
that-
are you doing that? Just
Feels like
You
they
know.
shoehorned it in a little bit. Yeah.
I think they just
Yeah.
don't want it to be known as, oh, these are kids or these are the sidekicks of people or stuff like that. I think they want to make them feel
Yeah.
adult. But yeah,
well,
I'll,
they really
I'll
don't have
definitely
any
check it out.
sidekick issues. There's no Kid Flash. There's no Speedy.
Yeah.
There's just there's no Power Girl. You know.
It's what? It's Robin.
It's Robin, Raven, Starfire, and Beast Boy. That's it.
No Cyborg.
So
Disappointing.
no Cyborg.
But
no,
I figured
no
that because
Cyborg.
he's going to be in the movie, so they probably wouldn't let him be on the shows.
Well, I don't know if he's even going to be in the movies. I heard Justice League 2 got canned,
Yeah,
Flash is probably DOA now.
I think the only thing
They're making a Supergirl movie. Like, why?
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, I don't.
Makes
get
no
that
sense, dude.
Yeah,
No
I don't
sense.
know. All right, Mitch, I've kept
And
you
then-
long enough.
Okay.
You can.
All right, man. I gotta get going too.
Yeah, I know. I feel bad that you missed your call. Whoever it was, give them my apologies.
No, that's all right. It's all right. He's an old time Marvel artist who co-created a certain character. You'll just have to wait. Next time I'll come on.
All
I'll
right.
tell you who it was.
All right. Yeah, you always give us little hints. I like
Good
it.
tease, yeah.
So thank you, Mitch. It wouldn't have been the same, like I said, without you to talk about Stan Lee. So we'll definitely have you on soon. I'll try and get you on, in a couple weeks.
All right. Well, you keep taking care of yourself there, Johnny.
I will. Thank you. All right,
All
Mitch.
right.
Thanks a lot. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks,
And I'll
Mitch.
send you that. I'll link you that cameo of the animated series.
Yeah, please do, because
I
I
will.
want to really watch that
Yeah,
one.
it's awesome.
All right, man.
All right, have a good night.
I'll see you. Bye.
Bye. That was Mitch Hallock, King of the Nerds, a guy that I am glad to say is my friend. And I think that this episode definitely wouldn't have been the same without him. So, Dimitri, I know we went a little bit over. One day we're going to end on time. We will.
I doubt
One
it.
day, yeah.
But we didn't get you. What was your favorite, or what was your first moment of Stan?
I want to say the first Iron Man movie.
Okay.
Because that was when I got, that was when most people got exposed to superheroes.
Sure, right, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think, I never read any comics, so I got
Right.
into Marvel because of the movies. So I think Iron Man 1 was probably when I saw the first cameo. I didn't really know who it was. I'm like, all right, cool, whatever.
Yeah.
And then I understood who he was, and then I realized in every single other cameo.
Yeah, if I didn't watch Spider-Man the animated series, I would have never known. When I would see his name in the comics, I would thought it was like Disney. I always thought Disney wasn't a real person either.
No, right.
And then I'm just like, oh, Stan Lee, yeah, like.
Sure.
And then when I saw that, I was like, he exists.
It's a real person.
It's like the M&Ms, they do exist.
who exists.
He exists. So I'll post that Stan Lee cameo on our Facebook too, because I think it's one of the best Stan Lee cameos ever. It is, but it, is, I can't think of the word, predecesses, I don't know the word. Predecesses all the other cameos.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know the word either. So.
I think I used it wrong. I don't know. I try to sound really cool using another word, and I'm just
Yeah.
like, brr.
it's
So,
all right.
no wrestling tonight, guys. All comics. So, hope you enjoyed the show. This has been episode 153, the Stan Lee Extravaganza. I'll give it a better name when I put it up.
Yeah.
But I do plan to. So, we're not going to have a show next week because you're going to be in Florida.
Yep.
For Thanksgiving. It's going to be Thanksgiving. I know that since I'm kind of like a temp at work that I'll be temping or
Temping, yeah.
being thrown in, flexing,
right, yeah.
Flexing there.
Being on call.
I feel
yeah.
I'll definitely be there all week, so we're definitely not doing a show next week. The week after you're still not back.
Right.
We
Might call in or something.
we
Do a
may
show.
we may have an episode if I can get Sam and Dan on, because they've been blowing me up being like, we need to
There
come
you go.
on, because there's been some controversy in the comic book community.
Ooh.
There's a big someone, a writer we've had on the show, Mark Wade's getting sued by another
Ooh.
writer.
Okay.
So
There you go.
Sam and Dan want to argue either side. I kind of want to stay in the middle if I can.
Yeah.
Because I really love Mark, so I'd be super biased. So I think that they want to argue both sides.
Well, then there you go. That'd be
Yeah,
perfect.
so
Just
I-
have those two go at it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think if we might have that week that you don't, I can get them on. If not, we might not have a show then too. So we'll figure it out. But Jason's probably going to be gone the next 2 weeks at least. And he might call in if we have him. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
No show. Definitely no show next week. Possibly a show the next week after that. So
Yeah, we'll see
stay
how it
tuned
goes.
for that. I promise by the next time we have a show, I will have all episodes up. We will be up to episode 153 up on iTunes. And Dimitri, you said now we're on Spotify.
We are everywhere where there's podcasts now.
So now we're everywhere where podcasts
Yeah.
are. So I got to
You
start.
can't avoid us.
Yeah, you can't. Our soft, soothing voices, you can't
Yeah.
avoid them now. So anywhere there's a podcast, you can listen to the show. So now I can't be like, well, now you can find us on iTunes everywhere. So you can find us everywhere. What do they just have to look Static Rift, or do they
Yeah,
have to look
just
Go
search-
Radio? Go Network. Go
Either
Radio.
one.
I'm fusing us together.
That's right.
Having a fusion, a DBZ fusion dance.
Yep.
I don't want to get into that. I'll keep us here another 20 minutes.
Oh God. Yeah.
I don't want to do that. So you can find us on all podcast platforms, all streaming, I guess, streaming audio
streaming
platforms.
platforms,
Yeah.
yeah.
'Cause I don't want to say
Streaming websites.
podcast, since I know that's not always a good word around here. So all listening platforms you can find us on. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Static Rift Radio. One day we'll have just Static Rift. Wherever you are, Mr. Static Rift in the
Yes.
Netherlands or France or wherever you are,
We're gonna get that European guy.
we're going to get you.
Yeah.
We're going to get you. And your little dog, too, if you have a dog. So thanks for listening in. Again, thanks, Mitch, for joining us. Stan is such an important person, I think, in everyone's lives.
Absolutely.
And he needed to be honored. It's a shame I never got to interview him. I don't regret many things, but that's definitely one of them. So thank you for listening in. We'll be back in a week or two. Not a week, maybe 2 weeks. So stay tuned. I'll post stuff up. I'm going to post up that Spider-Man thing. And go read some comic books. Read some, like Mitch said, read some older ones. Read some Stan Lee stuff, because he's a virtuoso of words. So
Absolutely.
all right, Rifters, you can catch us here on the Go Network. Same static place, same static time. I love you all. Good night.